Welcome to Call to Post, the Off the Bench Podcast Network feature dedicated to thoroughbred racing. Hosting today's show will be Brandon Ferst, and Brandon will be joined by Raider Jim Martinez. Grab some paper, make some notes, enjoy yourselves. Let's talk thoroughbred racing. Riders up.
What is up, everyone? Brandon Ferst, aka First Report, representing the First Off the Bench Podcast Network. Everyone comes off the bench. We are First. Welcome into another edition of the original Call to Post as we break down all the big weekend races across North America. And with me, as always, to help me break it down is my co-host, Raider Jim Martinez. You can find Mr. Martinez at Raider Jim 1090. Mr. Martinez, how you doing today, sir?
Hey, doing great. You know, it's football's underway. The Breeders' Cup is getting closer and closer by the week. Del Mar had a successful summer session, and next week already, believe it or not, already, week, October 1st, it's time for Santa Anita. So all the guys are going to be back in Southern California and ready to ride, and the ladies too.
Yes, and this weekend in North America, at least, there are a couple in Ireland, but we don't get the past performances there, so we kind of leave those alone. But this weekend, there will be no North American win and you're in races for the Breeders' Cup. However, next week, you will not want to miss that one, as it's a huge show, as we'll have probably at least 4 or 5 win and you're in races from both Belmont and Santa Anita as well. So we are obviously getting to kind of, I believe, October 10th. So 2 weeks from this Saturday will be the final win and you're in, as everyone kind of gets ready, obviously, for the Breeders' Cup. And it's going to be, you know, a great countdown, especially for this podcast, is the first time of maybe many in the next few weeks that we will remind you that we will be there. At least on Friday, I did check the Saturday prices. They're still not at an attainable level. So we'll see how that goes. But at least for this episode, we have plenty to talk about. Big races, not so much winning you're in, but big races at both Parx and Belmont. But before we get there, we have some news of really probably one of the most favorite horses that we've talked about, and it is arguably one of the best fillies of this generation, Monomoy Girl, a horse obviously that was has won the last 2 Breeders' Cup distaff, was taking the summer off to get ready for the Breeders' Cup. However, it has been decided that they're not going to chance it. This horse has been retired and will enjoy its life in stud, as it will now be probably a very, very wanted, a very popular dam for a lot of trainers out there. But for Monomoy Girl, I call it, we kind of talked about it beforehand, but it's bittersweet. It's bittersweet. I was talking a couple weeks ago that, you know, if we could get all those top fillies in the distaff, what a race we will have. Obviously, we will not see Monomoy Girl, which is a disappointment. However, I think this is something, you know, maybe 10, 15 years ago, we would not have with the advancement in equine technology and the health of these horses, that, you know, they saw it and they said, you know what, it's not worth it. We're not going to put this horse's life in danger to go chase another payday. So they have made the choice to retire this horse. Once again, bittersweet. It's bitter that we don't get to see this fantastic horse of the Breeders' Cup, but it is sweet because, you know, this horse will be able to enjoy the rest of its life in the barn, in the breeding barn. But Raider Jim, what are your thoughts on a fantastic career for maybe one of the best fillies ever to grace the mile? But what are your thoughts?
You do like to see the integrity of the owners, the trainer, and the jockey, and it, you know, it's nice to see. I know every one of them pays attention to these animals, but you know, that's hard when you've got you've got the star of stars, and you make that conscious decision that nope, she can no longer do that. And the injury is akin to an Achilles, just above in a horse's, the way a horse's leg is constructed. So either one of those, you know, that's the fragile part of the leg. If it was your dog, a beautiful animal like this, mark your calendars for about 3 or 4 years down the road, because you will see filly or some horse, you're going to look and see mama's name is Monomoy Girl, and you're going to want to bet on that one.
Yeah. That's the new the life after racing, and now we get to see how the gene pool goes. And I'll tell you what, I would not bet against that gene pool. I'll tell you that right now. I think Monomoy Girl is going to be a very popular and in-demand dam over the next few years, and probably even longer than that. You know what I always think about with Monomoy Girl is last year's Breeders' Cup. Obviously, the horse won, and that's great. Fantastic. It's a world championship horse, but I'll never forget Brad Cox. And you could just see it, his emotional attachment to this horse, and not because, of the money this horse made, or, that because of the actual connection he had to this horse. At the time, he didn't know he had, there was a possibility that was going to be the last race ever for that horse, and possibly the last time he would ever get a chance to train that horse. That didn't happen. The horse did come back later this year to at least run early on in the year. But I can only imagine, Brad Cox, I'm sure he kind of saw this coming over the last few weeks. But for one of, not only the best trainers in terms of, winner's circle, in the money, things like that, really the guy who does it the right way. I feel like sometimes we maybe focus too much on the negative side of things. Brad Cox, I can't imagine will ever be in that breath. So for both of them, it's probably with heavy hearts that he kind of moves on, or, won't have that horse. But I'm sure every time he is around the area, he will take a chance and go say hello to, like I said, really, Rachel Alexandria Zenyatta, I think you got to put Monomoy Girl right there in terms of the fillies of the last 10, 15 years. Monomoy Girl is right there. But so congratulations to a fantastic career. We would have been cheering you on hard this November, but we'll still have a lot of fun at the Breeders' Cup. But with that, it is time to dive into the races ahead this weekend. Once again, no Breeders' Cup win and you're in, but we have 5 big-time races at both Belmont and Parx. We will start at Belmont. Race number 4, it's the Grade 2 Kelso handicap, going a mile. And we have $300,000 will be the purse. Raider Jim, I will give you the honors to get us started on the Kelso.
Yeah, $300,000. The Kelso Stakes Smile on the dirt. Small field. There's only going to be 5 horses in this field, and the favorite is hands down number 2 horse, Life is Good, ridden by I Ortiz, trained by Todd Pletcher. Opening morning line is 1-9, and that's not a typo. 1-9. You are going to have to put a lot of money down or get creative with the tickets and hope one of the long shots come in. After that, it's going to be Chance It. Chance It's out of the 3 position. Manuel Franco is going to be riding that horse at 4-1. Fort Peck, 15-1 out of the position. Number 5, Juan Castellano, is riding at 10-1. Then you drop all the way to 30-1 with the number 4 horse in 4. Now it should be 2, 3, and 1. That looks like the obvious. You might be able to fill in underneath with Doubly Blessed and pick up a combination of Doubly sneaks in the last time out, has had 5 times to the winner's circle out of 14 races, has won $307,000. Life is Good is 3 out of 4 in the winner's circle. The only time that Life is Good lost was back in late August and lost to Jackie's Warrior. So as I've used the analogy before, that's like saying, well, I came in second place in the 100-meter. Who'd you lose to? I lost to Usain Bolt. Got it. Yeah. So, it's the same type of thing. Again, small field, pretty easy to pick. It just depends if you want to bet this, try to bet it straight and just put a lot of money on Life is Good, or if you want to try to get a creative place show combination, that's going to be your more lucrative, or the more favorable. Yeah, I don't know if I've ever even seen a finishing line at 1-9. A morning line of 1-9.
if you would like to bet this horse, congratulations. You're probably gonna have to get into the triple digits to do and to make any sort of things. For me, trying to find others, Chance It for me is a very interesting one, because look, this horse has 10 career runs and 9 of them have finished in the money, 4 winner circles, 4 second place, and even a third place to throw in there. This is a horse that's generally in the 90s, the high 90s. So definitely keep an eye there. Now, obviously, look, Life is Good, as you said, only lost to Jackie's Warrior. I'm looking at the odds this horse has come off at. The highest amount of odds it came out was 0.9 to 1, or 0.95 to 1. And that was last time out in that Jackie's Warrior race where it came in second. We're talking about, the situation of in its maiden special weight debut win, it won by 9.5 lengths. And then in the San Felipe earlier this year, this horse won by 8 lengths. And it has beaten Medina Spirit twice. Now, obviously, Medina Spirit is not running here, but one interesting thing here, this is a horse that was a Bob Baffert horse pre Derby. And this was a horse that was possibly going to be a Derby contender and then had an injury that forced him to miss the Derby. And then with everything that happened therefore, the connections decided to move the horse into Todd Pletcher's barn. Certainly not a huge drop there. The one thing I will say is you are picking up, you're not having Mike Smith aboard. Now, look, if you're not going to have Mike Smith aboard, Irad Ortiz is a pretty darn good second. And, even the way it's been going these days, Irad Ortiz might be the top one here. So it will be the first time that we haven't seen Mike Smith aboard Life is Good, but that's certainly not enough to get me off of this horse. I will say informative, look, 30 to 1, probably, I can't imagine this horse gets in the winner's circle. But, I go back to June at Monmouth Park. This horse ran in 97. It won a grade 3 at 80 to 1. Now, once again, I don't think this is a situation of, informative is going to get it, but this is a race that you almost throw an umbrella over the other 4 horses on play show picks and hope that you hit, because there's just not a ton of value outside of, even Chance It, at 4 to 1, that's good. But if a play show that might not pay terribly. Informative is definitely a horse to keep an eye on. This is a race, though, that I think will be fully up in the air for second, third, fourth, and fifth, because I don't know how Life is Good is beaten. Once again, you're trying to find any chinks in the armor. The only chink in the armor I could say is it's not Mike Smith, but with not being Mike Smith, it's Irad Ortiz. So that's still a pretty darn good armor. So moving on to the second race we'll be talking about at
and
Belmont.
not only that, moved from Baffert to Pletcher, and we talked about it. It's been a month and a half, 2 months now. Todd Pletcher was this year inducted into the Horse Racing Hall of Fame. So yeah, you're right. They lose nothing by putting the horse under Todd Pletcher.
Yeah, not at all. But moving on to the other race at Belmont we'll be talking about. It will be race number 10. It is a grade 3. It's the Athena Stakes, going a mile and an eighth for $200,000 is the purse, as I just pull it up. We have 3-year-old and up fillies. As I said, a mile and an eighth. This will be a turf race, $200,000 purse. This one, as I just roll through, we have Miss Tehran as the, I believe, morning line. No, I take that back. Spice is Nice at 1 to 5. So Belmont. Wait, holy cow.
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry. Let me clarify real quick. Sorry about that. Okay. Spice is Nice is morning line 1 to 5. However, this horse is only entered for a main track. So therefore, if it's raining on Saturday, they will move it to the dirt. Spice is Nice will run. If this race stays on the turf, Spice is Nice will not run. I believe that's how I can interpret that. So finding others in terms of the horses that we know are going to run will be Pocket Square at 3 to 5, which is a horse out of Great Britain, has been in the 90s since making its debut in North America back at Keeneland in April. But once again, not a ton of value there. Miss Tehran, another horse, 9 to 5 on the morning line. Chad Brown is aboard. I'm sorry, is the trainer. You have Franco aboard. Another horse coming from Ireland and heading back to has been, running in North America for pretty much the last year or so, has done very well for itself. This is a horse that, maybe stepping up in class, no doubt about it. Ran in a grade 2 a while back, back in March at Tampa Bay, and then had a grade 3 that it ran in at Santa Anita. A big step up in class. But has run 88, 94, 89 over its last 3 races. The one horse that definitely jumps out to me is on the post. It's Lake Lucerne. It's another horse that has spent majority of its time, or at least part of its time, in Great Britain, running at Salisbury, Goodwood, and York, things like that. Since coming here to the States this year, has made it in the winner's circle twice out of 5 runs, has lost to Miss Tehran. I think that was back in August. Yeah, back in August in Saratoga. It's going to be difficult. I've never really handicapped a race where you don't know if the hands down favorite is going to run. Now, obviously, you can play the weatherman game and try and see what that's doing. But once again, I've never seen a 1 to 5 morning line favorite be, only entered for one part of this. Raider Jim, what are your thoughts on the Athena?
Yeah, and then you also look at the last talked about, and so if Spice is Nice runs, Irad Ortiz is going to be the jockey. And that means they have to find somebody else to ride Pocket, because right now he's penciled in for both horses. Personally, I don't know that Spice is Nice will. I'm taking the approach that will run, and it's going to be Pocket Square. Pocket Square is a good horse. Just a lot of success. 4 out of 8 races into the winner's circle. It's been averaging 23,000 a win. Has run within the last 31 days, and that time didn't end up the winner's circle. I have 1 Lake Lucerne and 2 Miss Tehran. I think those are going to be the 3 horses we see in this race, but I don't see Made in Italy making the move to do anything to upset the field. And for the flag, also at 20 to 1. Looking at the history right now, I don't see the stand for the flag is going to do much either. It's only going to change if we do fill that 6th spot with Spice is Nice.
Yeah, and I just kind of Googled, and this obviously isn't anything to hang your hat on, but it is expected. Apparently it's raining today, or rain has happened or is expected today. Tomorrow as well, there's about a 55% chance of rain. In terms of Saturday, it looks like it's going to be a beautiful day, but obviously the weather forecast can change, so it does I would probably say Spice is Nice. It will not be running here, which is unfortunate, but I'm sure there's a backup plan for those horses or the connections there. But moving to Parx, which is in I think a suburb just northeast of Philadelphia. We will be starting with the race number 10, the
Correct.
grade 2 Gallant, or the Gallant Bob Stakes. Only 5 furlongs. $300,000 is the purse. Raider Jim, I'll give you the honors while I go let my cat in before it tears my door down.
Yeah, this is the horse we were just talking about. The one horse that did beat Life is Good. The favorite, the number 7 horse, it's going to be Jackie's Warrior. Joel Rosario on board. Stephen Asmussen, the trainer. Stephen Asmussen, the most winning trainer in North America. Morning line on this Jackie's Warrior horse is 4 to 5. I don't see any reason that this horse is not going to end up in the winner's circle. After that, it's a fairly close field. It's an interesting field. I do like the number 4 horse, Pickin' Tom Zayas on board, 10 to 1, but I like the horse. Winner's circle last time out, 4 out of the last 10, or 4 out of races have finished in the winner's circle, career earnings of $309,000. Now, to put that in perspective, when we talk about Jackie's Warrior, 7 out of 10 the winner's circle, and has careers of $1.3 million. So there's just a big step between classes. If will. After that, very tight. You go 5-1, 6-1, and 8-1. That's going to be the host. The 5-1 is going to be the horse. Real talk. Last time out, 4 out of 10 times in the winner's circle, has won $188,000. Baron's a good horse, and underneath, I like Baron could definitely be on the ticket for a combination, as could be Awesome Jerry, the 3-horse. The biggest odds of any of the horses I put down, aside from that 10-1 horse, at 8-1, placed the last time out. But this is a good horse. It's got good speed and has had some success. So, but I like 4 and 1 would be my top 3 picks in this one.
Yeah, with Jackie's Warrior now. Look, 6 furlongs. Obviously, kind of a sprint type, not going two full turns. The post position for Jackie's Warrior at 7 might not be the end of the world, but I do wonder, there is a lot of early speed in this race. So I do kind of wonder how much extra this horse will take trying to get to that lead, because like I said, there's a lot of speed early on here. Definitely something to think about. Once again, it's not, the end of the world in terms of that. But one other horse that I do really, really like, especially at the number, is the 3-horse, Awesome Jerry, 8-1. It's Santana aboard with Joseph Jr. I'm not familiar there, but Joseph Jr., the trainer for that horse. This is a horse.
Joseph, yeah.
Thank you. Very consistent. Now, once again, not the flashy kind of sexy Jackie's Warrior career. However, what I really like about this horse, really good early speed and also very good late speed, which I think is the only horse in this race. This horse and Pick and Time are really the only 2 horses that really are a factor late. So when I do see those kind of the horses that have good late speed, I always like to try and fill them in with a place show, because they're going to run somebody down more than likely. And if that's the case, you're still winning no matter what. Now, Jackie's Warrior, this is a fantastic horse. I hate to say it, but I always go back to the juvenile filly. The juvenile from the Breeders' Cup last year. Myself personally, I never bet on a horse that's less than money or less than even money on the money line, because you have to pay more, obviously, to make some money. I did that last year with Jackie's Warrior, thinking this horse can't miss. Well, it did. So I have to kind of take myself out of this and remember that, it was one race. Jackie's Warrior is a fantastic horse, and I do expect, this 3-year-old to continue on. I mean, 1.3 million made already. That will only go up later on in this career. So keep an eye there, but I really do like those other 2 horses. You already kind of brought up Pick and Time. And then Awesome Jerry are just 2 kind of, I think, valuable horses. Obviously, Real Talk as well has been there, been running in the 90s of late, especially at this distance. So keep an eye there. Plenty of options. But I do think Jackie's Warrior probably will even get lower than 4 to 5. I think you're going to have a lot of money thrown at that horse come race day. But moving on to race number 11 at Parx. It is going to be 1 mile and 16 on the dirt. For 3-year-old fillies, it is the Grade 1 Cotillion Stakes. The purse of $1 million. Now, this is obviously none of these horses or none of these races are winning you're in, but we still are going to see some horses that will be running in the distaff. We have Marahuca, who will be there currently 8-1. Clairiere is 2-1 at the moment. Army Wife 7-2. And then we have Private Mission at 9-2. A lot of really, really good horses, especially obviously the fillies here. Myself, even Will's Secret, when you see Will's Secret at 12-1, you kind of got to know, okay, this is a pretty deep field, and that's what we're looking at here. Marahuca, of course, won't be going up against Malathot again, but has really kind of spent the summer, kind of battling it out with Malathot. Malathot's 1-2, Marahuca's 1-1. So at 8-1, it's hard to get away from Marahuca for myself personally, from what this horse has done this summer. Army Wife is another fantastic racehorse that has kind of similarly been chasing Malathot. The only difference here is it doesn't have a win. to its name against Malathot, has won at Iowa, has won the Black Eyed Susan as well. So there are plenty of, wins. However, it hasn't been that one. Now, Clairiere at the moment is the favorite at 2-1. Another absolutely fantastic horse, finished second to Malathot by a length and a half. Irad Ortiz was aboard for the last 2 races, or excuse me, for the last 3 races for this horse. It will be Santana Jr. This time, obviously, Steve Asmussen is the trainer. This is a very, very consistent horse. You're going to get a high 80, low 90 run out of this horse. I don't know. Marahuka for me has the ability to hit 97. And when you see that, it's going to kind of be hard to get away from. You also have, as I said, Private Mission at 9-2, only 4 runs in its career, which of all the contenders here will be kind of one of the lower in terms of, experience, if you will, but has been in the winner's circle 3 out of 4 times. A lot was expected of this horse. Cost $750,000 to breed. And is getting close to about 150K. So I know the owners and everyone, they're really going to be hoping that this horse is able to get into the winner's circle to get a little bit of return on investment for a Private Mission. But for me, like I said, any horse that has a win over Malathot, I'm going to immediately gravitate there, especially when it's 8-1. But Raider Jim, what are your thoughts on Marahuka? Or I'm sorry, Marahuka as well, but what are your thoughts on the Cotillion?
What a great field in this race. Great race. The Cotillion Stakes is going to be great, and so is the next one we're going to talk about, which will be the Pennsylvania Derby. When I was going through the fields and sending you the names, it was just, wow. It was like looking at the baseball, the LB All-Star lineup. Clairiere, I think, is the front runner at 2-1 right now. I really like Army Wife. I think Army Wife's going to have a great race this time out. Watch for Army Wife to come out fast. I like that Army Wife is in the 5 position. Clairiere's right next door in 6, but watch Army Wife on that one. Marahuka, of course, is a champ. But that Homer guy, I can't help it. I cannot help but hone in on the 7-horse Private, because Flavian Proudboard. Medina Spirit was supposed to run in one of these races, and they pulled Medina Spirit. So Baffert still has one in there. If he's only going to put one in, he's going to do everything he can to make sure that horse makes it to the winner's circle. I think Private Mission is going to end up in the money. Army Wife, Clairiere, and Marahuka are going to be battling it out. What a field. You can get all kinds of combinations on this. Mine will probably be Army Wife, Clairiere, Marahuka, and Private Mission will be the 4th.
Yeah, it's a very, very deep race there for the fillies, and very similar for the next race we're going to be talking about, as you alluded to, race number 12 at Parx, going 1 mile and 1/8 on the dirt. This is for 3-year-olds. No gender restrictions here. The purse will be a mile. Going 1 mile and 1/8 on that dirt track. Raider Jim, you know where I'm going to start with my analysis on this, so I'm going to give you the honors to get us started on the Pennsylvania Derby.
Yeah, this has Brandon hottest show or place ticket that he's had year long, and that is the 8-horse Midnight Bourbon. 5-1. That horse still gets a lot of respect at the window and still has we all keep waiting for Midnight Bourbon to make his way to the winner's circle. Not sure about this time, because unfortunately out of the 7th spot, it's going to be Hot Rod Charlie, and that's a Doug O'Neill horse, which again, Brandon and I are both big fans of Doug O'Neill. Then Flavian Pratt is riding the horse. So my money for this one is going to be Flavian Pratt in the winner's circle. And Weyburn is also in the. Weyburn was the big Kentucky Derby contending upset winner back at 49-1, something like that, back in the springtime. Bourbonic is also in this field. Folsom is in this. Giroux and Brad Cox jockey trainer combination won the Smarty Jones not that long ago. Grade 3 race. Gotta go with Keep Me in Mind, and I'm gonna finish it out with Midnight Bourbon, probably go underneath with Bourbon.
Yeah, it's Midnight Bourbon is that, that horse or that kind of athlete that it just tries so hard but hasn't gotten over the hump, or a Dan Marino type, like, oh man, what a great player, but never won the big one. And at this moment, you got to go all the way back to January to see this horse in the winner's circle. Now, let's put a little bit of context into that. There have been 6 races this horse has run in since. Every single one, 2 of them have been grade 2s, 4 of them have been grade 1s. And some of the horses this horse has lost to, we're talking about Mandaloon, Hot Rod Charlie, Medina Spirit, Essential Quality, Hot Rod Charlie again, and Rombauer. So, this isn't a horse that's, just being beaten by, kind of nobodies or horses that come out of nowhere. This horse also 4 out of those 6 times made it in the money. Hence why I do believe it is the greatest play show bet in the history of sports. But you texted me yesterday or on Tuesday about the names, and I think Midnight Bourbon was 3rd, and all I texted back was, you had me at Midnight Bourbon. And that's, for me, that's what it is. Now, obviously for me, Hot Rod Charlie, a horse that has, just going back to last year's Breeders' Cup Juvenile, this was a horse that was 94-1. Hot Rod Charlie. Now it is a name that we all know, obviously, for what it did in the Kentucky Derby, almost running down Medina Spirit and then winning the Haskell and coming in 2nd at the Belmont 2 Essential Quality. Hot Rod Charlie is still right there. The last 3 runs have all been in the hundreds, even going back to the Louisiana Derby that ran in 99. So this is a horse that is going to bring it all. Now, of course, I think the biggest wild card out of all of this is Medina Spirit, because obviously the last time we saw Medina Spirit was in the Preakness, or at least at this level, was in the Preakness. And there were a lot of question marks. We remember, technically this horse has won the Kentucky Derby, but, whole all tickets in that case, we're still kind of waiting on that. This horse won the Kentucky Derby, had all the drama that went with that, ran okay in the Preakness. It was a 102 at the Kentucky Derby and in 94 in the Preakness, and then came back in an ungraded stakes race at Del Mar, was the Shared Belief, won that one pretty easily. I still at 2-1. I want to see a little more out of Medina Spirit before it's going to get my money in that situation. Now Wayburn, that's a horse, no matter what, that will always kind of get my ears perked up, as you mentioned, going back to the Gotham at 47-1 to kind of throw a wrench in everybody's Derby plans that we're going through there. But I think my biggest maybe underneath pick here, Keep Me in Mind. Now this is a horse very similar to Midnight Bourbon, has been on the Kentucky Derby, Preakness, Ohio Derby, Jim Dandy, Travers, kind of that road in terms of grade 2 and grade 1s for 3-year-olds. And obviously it hasn't come in the winner's circle. You have to go all the way back to even last year, the Kentucky Jockey Club, to get to see Keep Me in Mind in the winner's circle. However, this is a horse that has, like I said, been running at kind of the top echelon here, hasn't been in the money as much or as consistently as Midnight Bourbon, but I really, really do believe there is a lot of value here, especially considering I expect right now Medina Spirit at 2-1. I expect that horse to be less than even money when the money starts to kind of roll in on race day, just because, look, it's a name. People, we know Midnight Bourbon, we know Hot Rod Charlie, but most people, if you're even just a casual horse racing fan, Medina Spirit, whether it's for a positive or a negative. And I do believe that we're going to see a lot of money go into that horse late, on race day. So we will see how that all goes. But those are all the races we are going to recap for this edition of the Call to Post. Raider Jim, any final thoughts or anything else you'd like to add?
We spoke taking up at Parx this Saturday, and if you're just going to spend the day watching college football, but you want to play some horses along, want to watch the entire program on TVG for the Parx Saturday session, because starting in races 6, 7, and 8 are $200,000 handicap stakes. Race 13 is $200,000. Race 8 and 9 are $300,000, or excuse me, 9 and 10 are $100,000, and then you have 11 and 12 at $1 million each. There's a lot of money on the table. There's going to be a lot of good racing. Don't miss the Parx racing session on Saturday. It's going to be great.
Amen. And this is another opportunity for me to remind you once again, you know, look, it's very different in horse racing. You can see, you know, Midnight Bourbon at 5-1, but you might not get it at 5-1, no matter when you put that bet in. So there's a lot of movement. Once again, I think I say it pretty much every podcast, but it's worth saying. Make sure you give Raider Jim a follow on Twitter. He is very good on Saturdays and Sundays of giving you kind of his thoughts on everything that's going on with the movement and the line. Even, you know, hey, we go back to, I think it was Belmont. Is the horse going to run that favorite? You know, if it is, you might need to check back in and see, okay, where's Raider Jim at now? So once again, make sure you give Raider Jim a follow. I would love a follow as well, but you know, the weekends for myself, I'm at work, so I'm just kind of retweeting what Raider Jim's throwing if I can. So you know, myself at First Report, but definitely make sure you give at Raider Jim 1090 a follow to keep an eye on everything that he's got going on, and to keep you kind of up to date on what's going on for Saturday and Sunday. So with that, we thank you all so much for listening to this edition of the original Call to Post here on the First Off the Bench Podcast Network. Everyone comes off the bench, but we are first. It's time for you all to go wash your hands and stop hating everybody. We'll talk to you all very soon. Have a wonderful weekend.